Welcome to Season 2 of Time and Materials, a construction-only podcast powered by livecost.com, where we sit down with interesting people doing interesting things in construction. These construction experts kindly give us their time so that you can walk away with the tools to make better day-to-day decisions in your construction career. Hello, you're very welcome to what is the final episode of our accounting series podcast. So the goal of this was simple. We wanted to set out, bring in the three most popular accounting softwares that we come across on a day-to-day basis, the ones that we get asked the most questions on, being Xero, Quickbooks and Sage, and bring in experts on them products to understand not what is the best accounting software, but what is the best accounting software for your construction company and how your construction company works on a day-to-day basis. So we kicked off this series with Kevin from MI Solutions a couple of weeks back. If you haven't listened to that, I would encourage you to do so. Kevin talks about Xero. Last week, we had Sean O'Reilly on, who focused on Sage, and Sean was coming at it from a point of view of working with many construction companies and now then being the CFO of McKeown Group. And this week, it's a time to focus some light on QuickBooks. We brought in Nicky Goringe, who is coming at this with a lot of experience working with a lot of different construction companies in different sectors. So Nicky jumps in and talks about our experience with QuickBooks, what's good about QuickBooks, what's not so good, how does it compare to others. So we can hopefully bring this together now. So to give you the learnings on what's good, what's bad about different systems, how they compare with all different types such as reports, price, etc. And you can make a informed decision whether what you're currently using is a good system for where you are, or whether you think that it would be worth looking at some additional systems. So sit back and enjoy, and I hope you get some value from my conversation with Nicky Goringe. Nicky, you're very welcome onto the podcast. Great to have you here. Thanks for giving us your time.
Oh, well, thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem whatsoever. We like to get into these things and sort of give a bit of a context into who we're speaking to and a bit of a story. So, I mean, what is your story? How did you end up setting up the accountancy practice? Tell us a little bit about the accountancy practice and I suppose a bit about your story and the company story combined.
Sure. Okay. So my original background and training, I worked in a very large engineering company and I trained to be a business manager there using the CIMA qualification, which is the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. And that was great experience post-graduation. I then went into more technology-focused companies. So gradually worked my way up, getting more and more experience across different sectors, getting more responsibility, etc. And then it's weird. A couple of different people said to me, "Why don't you start your own accountancy practice?" And I thought that was really strange because I'd never even worked in an accountancy practice. I'd obviously been a client of accountancy practices when I've been, finance director or financial controller in different roles. So, obviously I know a lot about the practices, but I've never actually worked in one myself. And so, because I'd had so many people start to say that, because they could tell that I'm entrepreneurial, I was, whether it was going to be an accountancy practice or not, I was going to set my own company up at some point. And it was, I did some research. I thought, why on earth, where's the market for another accountancy practice? There's thousands of accountancy practices. However, I did some research, spoke to some other people that have set up practices, went to a lot of networking events just to get some information about, what do people like from their accountants, what they don't like. And it was amazing. I mean, this is back sort of 14 years ago, amazing how many basics that a lot of accountancy practices weren't doing, not customer focused, very old fashioned. And it was just clear that there was actually a market for a modern, customer centric, helpful accountancy practice. And so that's why I started on my dining room table. And I'm actually in my own office today, but I do have 3 offices now, with quite a few people. So, we've just grown organically over the 14 years.
And congratulations on that. I mean, a lot of people that will listen to this are running their own business and will understand how difficult it is to get businesses off the ground. So, congratulations on success to date and continued success. One of the main reasons we want to get you on, you know a lot about accountancy, you know a lot about different platforms. We've got a lot of construction companies that listen in that would be in, would have a lot of questions, I suppose, around their existing accounting system and whether they're on the right accounting system and what maybe the cap would be on a potential system. So like I'm turning over X today, in 2 years' time, that could be Y. Should I move now? All of them types of questions. And we're just trying to create some content around, educating on what systems are good for right types of companies. Let's start off with accounting softwares as a whole. I mean, what are the main benefits for the construction company to have an accounting software in the first place?
Okay, well, there's actually there's lots of benefits, which I'll go through a few, but also, firstly, once you're a certain side, it's just a legal requirement now. You have to file your VAT through software, so you need to have one. So it's not even an option not to, really, once you get to a certain size. But the benefits, if you get the right system, the benefits are, it's a peace of mind that you're getting the right information together. If it's kept up to date all the time, you're getting really critical information for managing your business. So it's a really good tool for management if you've got the right one. The benefits as well is making sure that you are capturing the right things, so therefore you are paying the right tax, you are recording the correct profit. And also there's a lot of different, especially in construction, there's a lot of nuances on different things with VAT and CIS, etc., which you need the functionality to record those things correctly. So you need a software that does understand those different aspects.
And through the accountant series, we've actually had people to come on, talk about Xero, talk about Sage, and we're just by no element other than QuickBooks is probably next in line. And we're definitely not putting QuickBooks as your preferred. But if I could maybe just ask some questions on QuickBooks. I mean, what does QuickBooks offer construction clients, say, that other accounting softwares don't, if anything?
Okay. Well, firstly, we don't force our clients down any one particular route, because different clients will have different requirements. And so we don't only use QuickBooks, we do use Xero, Sage, SAP, all sorts of different ones. Yeah. But QuickBooks, you're talking about QuickBooks, and the things about QuickBooks, it's does your VAT, it's got a CIS module, you can do your payroll within there, you can do project accounting, you can do purchase order processing, you can do quotes. There's an ever-growing amount of functionality in QuickBooks. QuickBooks originally was designed for small businesses. However, over the years, it's been very responsive to what customers have wanted, and it hit QuickBooks now, compared to 10 years ago, you wouldn't recognize it. So it's got loads more functionality, it's very flexible. So we've got quite a few construction clients that do use QuickBooks.
And what are the differences between their desktop offering versus the QuickBooks Online?
Okay, there's not a massive amount of difference in the actual functionality. The main issue is whether it's got the cloud aspect. Obviously the QuickBooks Online, you can access it wherever you want. I've just got one client still that won't move from the QuickBooks desktop, which is I'm still trying to persuade him every month, because it is a bit limited, as in, you still have to do backups and all of that stuff, which you don't have to worry about if you're in the cloud. But from what I can see at the moment, it looks like it's still got most of the same functionality. So you can still do CIS and VAT, all your payroll and things in there. But, so many more, it just really helps as long as you don't have an internet issue, you know, the cloud does seem to be the way to go. And you then don't have to worry about getting a backup, sending it to your accountant, etc.
And of course, having people the ability to be able to work remotely, which has been a big one for us in the last 17 months or whatever it was. So
it's life changing. So the people now, you know, I've got people that lots of clients, they can do their stuff from home, even if they're on holiday. Not that I'm advocating working whilst you're on holiday, but you know, if you are off in your Portugal villa or whatever, you can still keep an eye on your company and see what's happening. So it's it is a big game changer, the fact that you can manage your business from wherever you are.
Have you seen your construction clients use any of the QuickBooks add-ons? And if so, which ones have they been using that are finding beneficial?
Yeah, so because there are so many add-ons, it can end up being, if you're using enough of them, almost like an ERP system, really. Yeah. So I've got some that are using different CRM systems that are linking through. Some using like just specific proposal software. Some of that are using project software as well. Although QuickBooks does have project functionality, some, you know, if it's a more complicated project, they might want to have better scheduling type software, etc. with it, so they might use that. So there's I mean, it's growing every day, the different add-ons that you can put in. It could even be the different payment apps, you know, there's loads of different payment apps as well. You know, they might have some sort of, you know, online shop, they might sell some stuff as well, as, you know, because if they're, you know, I've got one client that makes steel barriers, so, you know, usually that's bespoke, but some things are just standard, and so you could just sell them through and set them up through Shopify, which then can all link to QuickBooks.
Yeah, it seems to be the way forward. I mean, the as you say, you can nearly build your own ERP to suit your own business, you know, your accounts being the foundation of it, and then you can plug in bits and pieces that, you know, once upon a time these types of sophisticated software were only available to large companies that had big resources. So the fact that we can do this now at a small to medium size is just, it's brilliant, really, when you think about it. One of the big ones, especially for construction, comes around support. So my background is construction, and I have I feel that the industry has an expectation around support, and I think it stems from how we deal with our suppliers. So the ability to be able to pick up a material supplier, like call my local merchant and have him answer the phone and deal with a query with me there and then, or get back to me within the hour. I think there's an expectation that we carry through a lot of our other services. So support for me is huge. And I think, like, in software, sometimes we forget about, you know, different industries. We have this blanket approach. But for construction, I just think it's absolutely incredibly important that we have a support that carries the same expectations across other construction companies, clients, if that makes sense. How does QuickBooks support compare to others, such as, let's say, the ones that we've mentioned, Sage Xero, etc.?
Sure. Well, the different levels of support are changing all the time. But QuickBooks is a 24-hour support. It does still have phone-based, whereas Xero doesn't have a phone support system. You have to send your email across, or your support query across, and you should get a reply within 24 hours, but it's not immediate. So Sage, I always used to think Sage had the best support desk. That has unfortunately suffered in recent years. It's only normal business hours, and you often have to hang on for a long time to actually get through to someone. And don't get me started on the different blimmin' telephone menu, which drives me crazy. Yeah, so generally QuickBooks support, really easy to get through. It's 24-hour, you know, 9 times out of 10, they answer our questions then and there. Where they do have to escalate it to some sort of specialist, they get back really quickly. So I cannot fault QuickBooks support. They are really good. So that's really, and you've had evidence of that recently with the change in the VAT system for construction recently. Obviously they had a lot of help, but they were very proactive as well. So they sent out lots of stuff on how do you set up your system properly for the new VAT settings, etc.
Yeah, and it really matters. So I mean, that's some of the stuff that you've touched on that they do really, really well. We can't do everything well.
No.
What are some of the shortcomings that you see within QuickBooks?
Okay, so I think from feedback from clients, it is very Americanized. So it does use American terminology, which can get, if somebody's coming from Sage, for example, you may find it confusing. So you'll also find a lot of accountants, if they've just used Sage, they're just set in their ways and they don't want to move on. As I said, we try to use everything, so we're not too phased about switching between them. A plus side is their reporting. I love their reporting because it's very flexible. There are still some reports that I would like there that aren't there. But again, they are responsive, so anything that isn't there you can request, and you just have to hope that on the next development cycle that the additional things will be there. What else would be, as I said, the project costing is quite basic. So if you have got a complicated project, you probably want to use a different scheduling tool, scheduling and planning tool. But for ones where you're not going into huge detail, if it's a smaller job, then you don't need to have so much detail. I'd say the purchase order system's not bad. Some people do want a more sophisticated one, especially if you're wanting to have, say, for example, your purchase orders, you might have a sign-off system. That doesn't happen within the software, so you might want something else. The expense system is not bad, but a lot of people do use Concur or sort of Expensify instead and use those as an add-on. Also might use Receipt Bank as well. So it's not perfect, but there are so many add-ons. You usually, if there's something that's not quite for you, you can go on. And as you say, that if you do need to go onto an ERP system, it used to be, not that long ago, when I was working in huge multinationals, people used SAP or JD Edwards, whatever. You're usually talking £500,000 for a system like that. Now you can get on sort of more micro ERP systems. If you get to the point that you think, right, I've got a dozen add-ons now with QuickBooks, it's just getting to, I'd rather just have everything on in one place. I just don't want to do this thing. Then fair enough. That I would say is the time for you to move on when you've just got so many different add-ons. But for most smaller, sort of small to mid-sized construction companies, they usually can, work with that.
When we bring this together then, okay, that's mean we've sort of given the goods of QuickBooks. I mean, you've got some great blogs on your website, which we'll link up in the show notes as well. And the blogs are, Sage v QuickBooks and Xero v QuickBooks, etc. And we'll definitely encourage all listeners to go and read them because there is some really good stuff in there. But if I'm a construction company, I'm coming to you today, I'm in that bracket that we talked about, somewhere in the, say, 500,000 to 10 million turnover. What are the sort of characteristics of my company that's going to give you a decision of which one I should go to?
Okay, so first I would always look at where are you wanting to go. So you might be an £8 million company now, but if you've got a big growth trajectory, you always want to plan, several. You don't want to take on a software that is going to be just not suitable in a few years.
Yeah.
So you need to plan for your growth. So I would first of all look at what is your growth trajectory? Where do you want to be? What services do you want to have? What is the purpose of your accounting system? Is it to manage your business, or is it just purely for the accounting aspect? So as I said, some people just use everything else on external systems and might put the basic accounts in there. But if you want it all linked up, think about that, whether it is suitable, or if you want to go to an ERP system. Also the size of your jobs. If you are doing thousands and thousands of small level jobs, so they're, 500 to £1,000 type stuff. So it's more maintenance types of things rather than big construction projects. That's absolutely fine, because it's more just a commodity type thing. But if you're doing big projects, then I would say I probably would look at a slightly different system, because I personally would want to manage my project with more granularity than perhaps QuickBooks would give.
Okay. In terms of cost then, is there much difference between Sage, QuickBooks and Xero?
They are pretty similar. They've all got a base one, usually about tenner, the really basic simple, but those are sort of for the, either cash accounting or sole trader. The ones that sort of the all singing and dancing ones are usually about 30 quid a month. Sage often is quite a little bit higher. So, that you may find that you're paying about £60 a month. As soon as you put on the add-ons, so, if you use QuickBooks Payroll, that adds on, I think it was £1 per person on the payroll or something. So, it has the opportunity to keep going up. But, compared to, perhaps older, you might have to do the starting point of spending £5,000 on an accounting system, nowhere near that. You can quite easily get a reasonable system for less than 1,000.
Yeah, brilliant. And I suppose, put you on the spot here a little bit. Personal preference? Mm-hmm. Can you say if you're working with them all?
Well, as I said, there are good and bad things about all of them. I would say my practice, we've got dozens of accountants in practice and they all like different ones. I like QuickBooks, but that's because I like the flexibility of the reporting. I have got accountants in my team that prefer Sage, some that prefer Xero, or some prefer even something else. The reason why I like QuickBooks is because of flexibility of accounting, and because I am a management accountant used to doing, management reports, etc. I like the thing that I can just quickly change a couple of things and come out with a very detailed report.
Excellent. Nicky, you've been very kind with your time, and there's a lot of gold in there as well, and we're definitely looking forward to sharing that out. If people want to make contact with yourself, and as I say, we'll definitely link up the blogs. There's a lot of stuff there as well. But if people want to make contact with you or the company direct, where can they find you?
Oh, thank you. Yes, so there's quite a few different ways. We've got our website, goringeaccountants.co.uk. We're on Twitter at Goringe Accountants. We're on LinkedIn, Goringe Accountants. So LinkedIn, Twitter, and our website are probably and YouTube. Yeah, so do link and subscribe on our YouTube channel. So yeah, we've got our YouTube channel as well.
Brilliant stuff.
It's Goringe with one R.
With one R. We'll make sure it's in there and it's linked up. Nicky, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Time and Materials is brought to you by LiveCost, the construction software fully designed to manage your construction financial forecasts. Visit livecost.com to take a product tour, or reach out to our team of construction cost experts to transform your project profits. Any links mentioned during this episode, including speaker profiles or any other resources, are available on the podcast show notes. Your feedback is also welcome. We would really appreciate if you could take a moment to leave us a review or email your comments, guest suggestions to hello@timeandmaterials.com. Finally, if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm your host, Ciaran Brennan.